Well, no guys, I'm still here. Sorry I haven't had hadn't had any updates for the last 2 months, but I've just been doing other things, electronic projects and things like that. So I've got some track pinned down, as you saw by the opening clip. I can do some switching if I would like. So I've been building switches or turnouts and you know, putting them on the layout. These are all the tracks just pinned down with some long needles here, just seamstress needles. Are probably an inch long, inch and a half, something like that. Number 20s, I think they are. Just got that pinned down to the foam. I just got one piece of track that's glued down, and you've seen that before. But yeah, I really can't remember what all I have shown, but all of this track is just you know, temporarily in place, really to do some testing. I've made some adjustments, moved some things out from the walls to get you know, things like my mock-up building and things like that in there. This is just here for, like I said, mock-up. But you know, big thing is checking out all these turnouts. This is the one that is two number 6s that are, I'm sorry, two number 4s that are connected together. They're actually, it's just actually one big piece. I posted some pictures of this construction on my Google channel, my Google Plus channel, our page, and it's painted. It's Rust-Oleum brown. I spray painted it, but spraying it kind of gums up the working. You get some buildup in paint in here, you know, in the areas. So in these turnout or the throw areas. So might start using a brush on that rather than spraying it. But just checking them out, make sure it didn't have any shorts. I did make up a kind of a throttle. If you go to Google and search for model railroad electronics, a gentleman by the name of Rob Paisley will show up. He has a lot of different things on how to you know, change just a lot of electronic projects. Check that out, Rob Paisley, electronics for model railroading, under Google or something like that. But it's got a handheld throttle, speed control, direction. You know, I'll probably do a video on that later on. So got track, you know, like I said, temporarily in place, just checking out my track plan. But I do have the helix built. So I'll just screw together. It won't be glued or anything like that. I have code 100 track that I need to lay on that. I'll have to disassemble the helix so that I can lay all the track and solder it together, solder some wiring in there. So got this section, which is actually going to be called Stevens Entry. I'm not sure what industry will be here. It'll just be one long building. Remember, this building is actually going to go the roof, and the roof will wind up going to the backdrop to cover this lower track, because it is actually below it, as you can see. So this part here is level, of course, and then this part has a 2% grade that goes down, goes into the helix. So that's the big change, is I got all this area in here done, and I still need to put the foam down, of course glue that. There'll be a turnout here. This is kind of the main, if you will. Put a turnout here. The diverging track will come around here, and this point will be called Stevens Entry, and that's just so that way the engineers can say, well, this is going over, you have to go into Stevens Entry, yada yada. But if you go straight, it's going to go into the helix, and the helix will come out, and it'll you know, come out on this side or the other side. There will be a switch back there, a turnout, but the turnout will be fixed, and I'll get into that later. I've got some electronics that I'm going to try out and see if I can't figure out how to do this reversing loop, because the whole upper level is actually one big loop, and so you know, we're going to have opposing polarities back over here once we get back. So same thing with the bottom loop, that once you come through staging, you go in underneath the helix on the bottom and you come back out here. There'll be opposing polarities out here as well. So I think I've figured out how to do that, but I'll get into that later using a microcontroller and some really simple electronic components, diodes, and a bridge rectifier. Alright, well, to conclude this video, since the video camera has the audio problem, I'll pan you around. This is a few days after the first video was shot. I'm using my Kindle. I've got that foam down over here in Stevens Entry, and you can kind of see progress on the helix. And I ran out of track, so code 100 track. So I went ahead and just kind of stacked all the pieces back in there, but that's what it looks like assembled, which you saw that in the first part of the video. It's really cool. I've tested it out, ran some trains up in there. Get some good perspective angles here. So this level here goes up to the lower level. This is the inner staging, which is, you know, this is the lower level here. So this will be staging that actually goes all the way around the room, and eventually we'll come back and go in this section underneath the helix, come around, come back out, go back around the room, come back here, go in the helix, come out here, and eventually make its way up behind this building, this scene here, which will, the track coming from the helix will not be part of this scene. And then it will appear back here, and go out into the Fulton yard, which will begin right here. Alright guys, appreciate the subscriptions, the views, the thumbs up, the comments. I appreciate it. Catch you next time.